Hello, everyone. Welcome back. I am Christine Dixon of The Ordinary Sacred, and I'm so happy you're here. Today, I want to share with you a little bit of teaching and a practical exercise to get curious and gain insight from the parts of you that use your body. So that might be by producing pain or other sensations, maybe fatigue or illness. And you can really go in and get answers from them about the roots, about why they're doing what they're doing, whether the roots are physical, emotional, mental, trauma-based, whatever combination of those, you can get answers. So I presented this in the weekly IFS community that meets every Tuesday yesterday, and I wanted to create this video so that people in that group and all of you can come back and use this at your own pace. So as I go through the exercise, especially, you can pause if you need more time, and you can take as much time as you need so you can tailor it to yourself. All right. So let's see here. I want to play this PowerPoint. So listening to the symptoms in the body using internal family systems. So first, which parts use the body? How do they use the body? Well, all parts can use the body to convey messages. It's one way that they express themselves to us. They can use images, they can use postures, they can use words, they can use impulses, memories, but they can also use our physiology, whether it's sensations, pain, nervous system activation, all kinds of things. So managers, for example, may tense our muscles to brace against pain or threat. They kind of can hold in other parts of us. They can also cause pain as punishment, like an inner critic can punish using physical pain. Firefighters might create a fight response, which again is adrenaline, tensing of the muscles, gritting of the teeth, right? It's a very physical response. Can create a shutdown response in freeze, fatigue, collapse, faint, or they might create a distraction response, kind of a numbing, dissociative response, taking us out of our bodies. And they often will do this whenever emotional pain comes to the surface. These are ways of kind of dealing with it. Sometimes they'll create physical pain as a distraction from emotional pain, whether it's direct, through maybe a cutting part or a self-harming part, or it's an actual pain, a headache or something like that, that distracts us from the emotional pain that we have. It could be back pain, knee pain, all kinds of things. And when we go in, we can ask the parts and they will tell us directly. Another one I'm thinking of right now, which might be a manager, but would be a part that has learned to create pain in order to get attention or love from another person outside of us. So maybe as we were growing up, that was the only way we could get tender, warm care from our caregiver. And so this part has not been updated, and it just, again, it's not that we're making a conscious choice to try to manipulate another person. It's really kind of in the subconscious. It's these parts, though, that are really stuck in the past that really believe this is the best strategy to get attention. And finally, and those could be managers, could be exiles. Our exiles may use our body to tell their story in the only way available to them. So sometimes people will take a certain posture of an exile, or they'll have pain in a certain part of their body that was violated. And so the exile is trying to bring attention to the traumatic experience that they had. All right, so finding root causes. When we listen to our parts and/or our bodies, you'll see, we're really focusing on where it is in our body, and our body might tell us that there's a purely physical cause, or there might be an answer that it's a purely emotional, mental, or trauma-based cause. Could be a combination of the two. We'll see that there's often many parts interacting in a system inside, and that'll become clear. But when we receive answers from parts, they give very clear insight. They make specific needs known. This is very different than our thinking, analyzing parts, which we'll talk about, who are kind of guessing. Is it this? Is it that? When we receive an answer from a part or from the body, it feels like, that aha, it's very insightful. Yes, this is what it is. There's clarity around it. And that information that we receive directly from parts is incredibly valuable in being able to find root causes and then find helpful solutions that are directed directly at the root cause. Because when we're guessing at the root cause, there can be just a lot of efforting and a lot of stress around it. But when we know, oh, this is it, then our parts who are fix-it, solution-oriented parts can direct their energy toward whatever is the actual root. So the first step is actually befriending our blocking parts. Can be very hard for us to go toward parts that cause pain or symptoms in our body, because there are other parts all around it that are having some kind of reaction. And we need to befriend those first so that they can relax and allow ourself to go toward. So if you can see me in the little video at the top here, it's like the self is here, the parts causing the pain are here, and between them is this block of parts that are having all kinds of reaction to the part causing the pain. And so whatever blocks the way is the way. So the way forward is for the self to get to know all of these parts with reaction so that they can rest and relax, and then the self can make contact with the part causing pain. So I'm going to tell you some common parts that often block, especially when we have chronic pain or fatigue or illness. One very common one is fearful parts. It makes sense, right? That there's some pain or concerning symptom that will have fearful parts around it. And there can actually be a fear-pain loop where the fear is the danger signal and it tells the brain there's something to be afraid of, and then the pain starts, the fear then tells the brain there's something to be afraid of, and it creates more pain, and then there's more pain, so there's more fear, and then it just keeps on going. So it's really important to help the fearful parts be able to relax in order to get answers. Another really common set of parts is these figured out parts, which are thinking, analyzing parts. They're usually going a mile a minute, trying to figure out, is it this, is it that? And we'll talk about how to meet their concerns so that they can relax. And similarly, there are fix-it parts. So the figure it out parts are kind of cerebral. They're just calculating in the brain. Then the fix-it parts are the action-oriented parts. Oh, let's try this, let's try that, let's do this, let's do that. And those often get activated. And all these parts mean well. They're very much trying to help. They make sense. We can also have distracting or numbing parts, whether that's through, just scrolling on social media, watching TV, eating, taking a pain med, using substances. Just get rid of the discomfort so that our fearful parts, don't get activated. And desperate parts can include all of these, but it's really just this feeling of, I must get this pain to stop at all costs. There's just a lot of desperation around it, and that makes sense too. And there can be any other kind of part that has opinion about the pain or the symptom. that's going to, the activation of all these parts is going to kind of cloud or block the way between self and getting answers from the part causing the pain. But if we meet the concerns of the blocking parts, they can naturally relax, and we can move toward the parts using the body without agenda, with genuine curiosity and receptiveness. This is when the parts using the body will open up to us. Okay, so now I'm going to lead you through the exercise to potentially get some answers from whatever's happening in your body. So the first thing I invite you to do is really think about a physical symptom. Again, it could be a pain somewhere in your body. It could be some kind of intestinal issue, heart palpitations, fatigue, nausea, some kind of symptom in your body. And for now, you might have many, but just choose one at a time, just one symptom. And you can do this in your mind's eye. You can kind of do it meditatively, or you can write it on paper, whatever supports your system the best. There's no right or wrong way. I like to write down on paper, but you don't have to. If you are writing it down, I invite you to draw a circle in the middle of your paper and just write whatever the physical symptom is in the center. And then just take a moment to notice all of the parts that are having reaction to that physical symptom and brainstorm them, write them around the circle, kind of like a spider brainstorming map. And you might notice parts like I presented earlier, fearful parts. You might notice it in your body, the fear response in your body. Parts that want to run away and escape it, parts that feel angry about it, parts that want to fix it desperately, want to figure it out. Any and everything you notice. Again, you can pause and really listen to whatever parts are having reaction. And then once you have those around the circle, you can do this in this grid form, or you can go back and just do it on the brainstorm map. But what we're going to be looking at is going one by one to each of the blocking parts that you identified, or the active, reactive parts, and asking them directly, what is your biggest concern, particularly about the self going to the part producing the pain or the symptom? Like, what are you afraid would happen if you relaxed and let the self do that? Or what do you need in order to allow that to happen? So what's your biggest fear if you were allowed that, or concern about that? Or what do you need? And then we'll begin brainstorming how to meet that concern or need. Now I'm going to come back up to this. You can also just do this on the brainstorming map itself. So at the end of these arrows, you might have, fearful parts here, fix it, figured out parts, numbing parts, some other reaction. And so for each one underneath it, again, just if you can, ask your thinking parts if they'll relax and give you space to just receive answers from each of these parts. What are you afraid would happen if you let me go toward the part who has pain? Or what is your biggest fear or concern? It can just be very general. And what is your biggest need? So for each of those around the circle, ask that. What's your biggest concern? What's your biggest need? You don't have to think it up. Just receive whatever it says or doesn't say. And you can just write whatever it says, or, might be a little, might be nothing. It might show you an image. It might show you some of its history, a memory. It might show you some symbol. Just be open to whatever it shows. And you can write it there, or you can do this kind of grid table. Again, pause and take whatever time you need to do this. Now, I actually want to go back up and explain to you how I meet the concerns of some of these common parts. So fearful parts often want to tell their story, because usually the fear is based on something that actually did happen in the past or something they heard about. And they really want to be validated, they want to be listened to, and they want to be comforted. These are often young parts, not necessarily. They can be at whatever time you experience some kind of trauma. For example, I had medical trauma. So my fearful parts were really afraid of this symptom being something that will require medical attention. And their fear was actually of the medical intervention that might happen. So they wanted to tell me that. And then I was able to comfort them. And you might imagine holding their hand or letting them stand behind you as you deal with the part producing the pain. You might need to go witness what happened to them so that they can relax. Let them know, though, that you are bigger than them, that you'll be with them. They might want to go to another room, right? So you can meet their concerns in that way. Figure it out parts, thinking, analyzing parts, and even fix it parts. What I have experienced that they respond really well to is, what if you gave me space, and usually I'll tell them a specific amount of time, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, to get to know this part who's producing pain and just receive answers. And then you can come right back in afterward and you can think about it, analyze their answers, find, direct solutions for their answers. Because it's not that I'm trying to get rid of you. You're so valuable to my system. It's just about the order of things. If I can receive direct insight, clear insight from this part producing the pain or symptom, then you can do your job. And those parts I have found absolutely love that. Sometimes they need evidence of it first. They don't believe that you can actually receive answers from your body or from a part. So I would propose an experiment. Say, I get that you don't believe it until you experience it. So can you do an experiment and agree to relax back and just let me receive an answer, even if there's nothing? Maybe there'll be nothing, but that's fine. We cannot get it wrong. But if you'll relax, that's the only way that I can receive an answer. That there can be this direct connection between the self and the part producing the symptom. And they usually, once they experience receiving direct answers, they're like, whoa, that's amazing. Yes, we'll step back to receive those answers. And then we can come in and analyze to our heart's content. Same thing with distracting, numbing parts. I might propose an experiment. What if you just let me go toward this pain for this amount of time, then you can come back in and numb and distract again. Okay. And if you have parts with certain concerns and you're not sure how to meet them, go ahead and write it in the comments, and I can give you my 2 cents about it. All right. Now, if you are able to meet their concerns and all of these reactive parts are able to relax a little bit, give you space to approach the pain or symptom in your body with non-judgmental, open curiosity, then you can get to know it and receive from it. The first thing I want to invite you to do is to observe the symptom in your body, just like you would an animal in the wild. If you don't know what it's going to do or when it's going to do it, you're watching it with fascination. So just for a moment, really focus that non-judgmental curiosity on the specific place in your body. See if you can observe it without fear, without trying to fix it or analyze it. Just noticing the truth of it. Where specifically is it? How big is it? What's the nature of it? If you had to draw it, what color would it be? What shape would it be? How would you represent it? Is it moving around? What's the intensity of it? You know, there's so many different types of pain and discomfort. How would you describe it? Is it shooting, sharp, aching, radiating, soreness? Again, just really gently, tenderly looking at the nature of it. And something that I like to do is that you're welcome to do as well is to kind of just draw a basic drawing of the body. And I might then draw on it specifically where the pain or discomfort or symptom is in or around my body. And what we're doing here, some people call somatic tracking. It's about observing what's in the body with non-judgmental, mindful curiosity and without fear, without judgment. And this is something that you can even do, especially if you have chronic pain or symptoms, you can track them regularly. Sometimes when I've had really severe pain, I'll observe it every hour, every 15 minutes, even sometimes. And I'll mark the time and I'll draw a little drawing. And it's helpful to me to see how the pain changes and how it gets more intense and then it gets less intense and it moves from here to there and its nature is slightly different. It feels fascinating to me. So take whatever time you need to do that. And then as you're focusing on this place in or around your body, ask questions. Ask the part questions and wait patiently without agenda for answers to come, even if there's nothing. Just be open to however the part communicates. It could be through images, words, sensations, postures, just a knowing. So you're just in a receptive place. It's like having a person in front of you you're asking a question and you just receive it from them. Maybe they don't want to tell you. Maybe they show you something. They show you a picture. They sing a song to you. I don't know. You don't know what's going to come from them. It's just like that. All right. So the first question I like to ask is, what do you want me to know? Just a very open-ended question. Again, you can pause, ask the part or the part in your body, what do you want me to know? And just receive. If there's anything or nothing. You can also ask, why do you do this? And just see if it offers anything up. A good question to ask is, what are you afraid would happen if you didn't do this? If you didn't cause this pain or this symptom? Again, just wait for an answer without thinking it up, even if there's nothing. And then finally, what do you need most from me? What do you need most from me? And then just pause the video so you can listen for a little bit. Observe. And as you get answers and insights from this part or parts who are using the body, they might be purely physical. This is because of some structural issue that happened back here, or it's because of something you're eating or some lifestyle thing or something you're doing. Or sometimes they will point you to a vulnerable part that they're protecting. Like if I didn't do this, you would feel the pain from this trauma that happened. And so they're pointing you to a part that needs your help. They also could point you to another extreme part that they're trying to balance. For example, I had a part that would just put me in complete collapse, just more than fatigue. Like I couldn't move or speak, complete collapse. And when I asked about, what are you afraid would happen if you didn't do this? It pointed to a cluster of parts over here who were really, really burdened. And they were my 3 Ps. perfectionist part, people-pleasing part, performing part, who learn to override my physical capacity to meet the needs of other people, to get my worth met by performing, to be perfect, or else, right? And so this part put my body in complete collapse in order to counterbalance them, because it's the only thing that would make them stop. So what the collapse part is now doing is pointing to these other burdened extreme parts who need my attention and help so that they don't have to be so extreme anymore. And it was very, very valuable time. It took me years to get to know this cluster of parts because they were so burdened, culturally burdened, legacy burdens, personal burdens, complex trauma burdens. And in helping that cluster of parts, the collapse doesn't happen anymore. It doesn't need to happen anymore, right? So again, the answers may point you to other parts that need your help. So I invite you, if you want to, you can even make a parts map around this. The part that is causing the pain could be one or more parts, or the symptom. The parts who are active all around it, have opinion or trying to do things to solve it. And then the parts that part points to that are vulnerable in pain and trauma, or burdened and extreme in their role over here, that need your help, right? So you're going to see the whole system as you are able to listen and receive answers. Now, if you have just been doing this kind of internally, I do encourage you, at least afterward, to kind of record some of the things, some of the answers that were given to you, some of the insights you gained about the different clusters of parts. And then you can make a self-led plan going forward, especially if you were able to hear about what the needs are, right? Often the part who is producing the pain and symptom has a certain need, but there are other parts who block that need from getting met. So making a plan to go to those parts to help them. And what that looks like is essentially the whole IFS process and kind of what we've even been doing is getting curious about what are you afraid would happen if you didn't please the person in front of you at all costs, weren't perfect, performing, really getting curious and let them tell you their stories and what's happened for them so that you can go back to however many moments they need you to go back to and witness, reparent, redo, update, bring them into the present and unburden them, release the load that they carry. Then, as they are able to relax, especially with the secure attachment that they develop between themselves and yourself, they begin to be able to take more risk, to set limits, to honor the needs of your body, to even connect to your body, to listen to your body. There's all kinds of parts that will disconnect you from your body because it wasn't safe either to be in your body and experience the pain that was being inflicted on you, or it wasn't safe to acknowledge your body's needs, right? Because you had to sacrifice them to please your parents or your teachers or your peers, or maybe there's religious indoctrination around it's not okay to feel anger, to feel fear, disgust, sexuality. And so all those things are in the body and they've been suppressed. I just have to cut myself off from my body's cues, from what I call my body compass, my emotional guidance system, had to be cut off in order to survive socially. So you can understand how they make sense and offer to be able to, especially if you're in a safe environment now, to release those burdens for them. Okay, and finally, last step is to check back with fear, all the parts that were activated around the pain or symptom, the fearful parts, figured out parts, fix it parts, whatever you identified. Just really bring them to mind. Thank them for giving you space to listen and receive answers if they did. And then, like we promised them, they can come back in and really think and analyze and, create a plan with you to find solutions. They are valuable parts, and you want, to work together with them. And so you can see if they have any reactions to the insight you received, any questions, concerns, responses. We're never trying to steamroll over them or not consider them. So spend a little bit of time with them and just be aware of, again, all the parts in this whole system around this specific pain or symptom. And you are the one who can hold them all, listen to them all, love them all, and make a self-led plan to get their needs met. So I hope you found that helpful. You can use that again and again with whatever symptom you have. You can use it with one symptom and then with another and another. And when you're able to approach it with that just open, gentle, calm curiosity, I guarantee you, you will receive answers. They may come in different ways than you expected. As your system experiences that, though, it'll trust it more and more. But you may need to spend weeks with the blocking parts, especially if you have had chronic pain or chronic symptoms for years. You probably have so many reactive, desperate, burdened parts around it. And so really spending time validating their experience, giving them love, letting them know you're tending to them and that you're bigger than them, proposing an experiment to them is really important. So if you try this and you want to share about your experience, or maybe you have questions about it, please feel free to put them in the comments below.